Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. I'm back at the shop again tonight. I've been back here a lot lately doing the great cleanup, and no doubt if you follow my channel you're seeing all these videos. In between all the cleanup videos and the updates on my shop, I'm going to do a few other videos. I've just done a worm test recently. I've got another one on the go. I've got some repair jobs to go and I'll show you one in a tick. And also I'll do a little bit of scrapping. I'm going to try and bring a few of these videos in as well as the great clean. Partly because I like to keep the variety on my channel, but also because I need to deal with stuff here and there's things that are worth fixing and I don't want to store them and I don't really want to sell them as they are. So I'll show you what I mean. We've got one to do here now. How's this for a ripper piece of 1970s retro kitchenware? It's a Monia crock pot, basically a slow cooker, one of the first of the slow cookers. Really lovely retro red. This one's in amazing condition. Usually when I get these old kitchen appliances, it turned up in the e-waste. Normally when I get them, they're either not working, blown up, or they're really grotty and dirty. This one clearly has not had much use at all. I think it's well worth fixing in that it does actually go. It heats up. But what I did notice, and something with my tag and test license with electrical appliances, the first thing they say is to check the cord, because a lot of appliances actually fail the test because the cord has damage. This one isn't damaged so much, although it's rather stiff, but I noticed where it went into the fitting, the rubber has actually perished. So even though it still connects and it still works, it's not all that safe. You only need one of those wires to rub through the grommet onto the metal housing, and you've got electrical safety issues. You would probably blow fuses, and you certainly wouldn't cook your casserole successfully. So I'm going to replace the cord on this. I'll show you how to do it. Everything else on it is absolutely perfect. As I said, if it was at all grotty or had issues, or if the knob was broken, I would simply just scrap it out. Bit of aluminium, bit of insulated copper wire, and it would go off to the e-waste station or just into the shred. But this one's too good to leave. We can fix the cord really easily. I'll show you how to do it. I'll show you how to do it safely, without any expense really. And I've just quickly browsed eBay, and I won't do the proper screenshot on my laptop, but I'll just show you here. And there's quite a few of these crock pots that are selling between $50 and $100. That one actually there made $119. It looks like it's got the original box. So they're quite popular. Every one of these on here is actually sold. I certainly could easily get between 50 and 75 in the shop, remembering that on eBay people have to pay postage as well. So worth fixing. Shouldn't take me too long. Let's get into it. Okay, let's take the access into where the cord goes. I did have a better look at the cord here as well, and there's a number of spots where it's actually perished. I'm not sure if you can see that. And there was a worse spot somewhere. So the PVC coating, or this one may be rubber, it appears to be an older cord, has perished, and it's certainly not safe. There we go, look at that, it's just breaking up. So we'll access here, we'll just remove the old cord, just a couple of screws to get into here. Now while I'm doing this, I did a video quite a while back on how to safely replace a mains plug in Australia, and I've had a few people say that it's illegal and you can be fined big dollars, and I had replied to their comments. We might just cut that off. And it is not illegal, certainly within Victoria where I live, it is not illegal to work on portable electrical appliances. As long as you demonstrate some competency, you do not have to be a qualified electrician. I do know that in Queensland it's a different story, and certainly it's important to check where you are, because local laws do vary. But I have contacted directly Energy Safe Victoria and had confirmation that it's perfectly legal to do your own repairs on portable appliances. You certainly can't work on fixed mains voltage, but you can repair appliances. So don't be told that you can't. If you Google it, you'll find information usually from electrical companies themselves that say it is not legal, but they're not the authority and they quite often want the work, although I don't think many electrical companies would want to repair appliances. But yeah, so that's the rules. All right, so we've got into here. You probably can't see much with my fingers in the road. The wiring from the terminal block here looks fine. It's just this old rubber type coated cord that we've got to replace. Now, just before we remove this piece, I did note which terminals these wires went to. Clearly this one's the earth. The colours here are interesting. They've actually either faded or they've been affected by the heat of the appliance. But the earth is normally green. It's looking yellow here. And this one that does look green was actually blue. And I can see where I cut it off. It's certainly a blue. So it's kind of, the colour is faded and it looks green. So that's a bit confusing. And this one's brown. So in Australia currently, and this must have been one of the first ones, brown is active. From the early 70s, usually it was red was active and then black was neutral. And then they changed during the 70s, and this must have been around about the changeover date, and they went to brown being active, blue is neutral, and green, or sometimes green with a yellow stripe, is earth. There's no confusion as to the earth because it's got a terminal on it. We won't have a terminal on our new cord, but we'll be able to secure that fine. So I did note that the active, or the brown, went to the top terminal, and it's important to rewire it the same way. Even though appliances that run off AC or alternating current will operate with these wires reversed, it's not safe practice because you need the active line to be switched. If you reverse this, yeah, sure, it would work, but the switch on and off would just switch the neutral, and it would mean that most of the appliance, even when it's off, most of the appliance would actually still be live. So we need to make sure they're the right way. We'll get the remainder of this cord out now, and we're going to need to reuse this clamp. So hopefully I can just push this through without stabbing my fingers. It is important to have the cables clamped so that if there's a tug on the cord, it doesn't pull the wires off the terminals. Let's see if we can lever it out without cutting it. There we go. Okay, so we'll reuse that clamp. And there's our old cord. Now, to replace the cord, I'm going to use a cord from a computer, or it's a standard IEC cord. A few things we need to be aware of when replacing cords. This appliance is, hang on, we'll zoom back out. This appliance is metallic. It's not double insulated. It needs to be earthed. The old cord had an earth pin, and you saw that it had an earth wire. So our new cord has to be a 3-core cord with an earth wire. Now the other thing to check is the current rating, and they will say written on them, and this one says 250 volts at 10 amps is its rating. And the old plug here will say it somewhere, here we go, 250 volts, 7.5 amps. So our new cord can carry more current than the old one. That's fine, that's the way it needs to be. Right, we'll put the old one in the scrap bin. $4 something a kilo for insulated wire at the moment at the scrap yards. So this cord's going to be ideal for our job. As an added bonus, it's a more current cord, and it does have the insulated half pins, which is a safety feature of all modern cords, whereas the old one didn't have. So we're going to snip the socket off. We don't need the socket. And then we're going to peel back some of the outer sheath. We might get the old cord and just measure how far back we need to peel it. Okay, that'll just give us a guide. We obviously want to go back to about there. And I'm going to use a blade. I'll just mark it first. And we're going to bend the cord right on that spot fairly severely so it stresses the outer insulation, and we'll just rock the blade across there We're not slicing, we're just rocking. And I went through the same procedure when I showed you how to fit a new plug. This is exactly the same process. And we're just going to score it. Well, not really score it, just press whilst the insulation is stretched, and it will open it up without cutting the wires. Obviously, if we cut the internal wires, we've gone too far, and we'll have to start again. Alright, you can see there the wires are starting to appear. So we'll just work it around a little bit. Usually, yeah, there we go. Usually when you just have scored it a little bit and you flex it a bit more, it will release itself. We're not quite aligned there, but we're nearly there. This is what happens when you watch through a camera instead of looking at what you're doing. Okay, that's should be free. We'll give it a tug. There we go. So the wires aren't scored. We've got our good length here. I'm going to use a wire stripper to strip the ends back. You could use side cutters just by clamping a bit and then pulling. You can also use scissors or anything else, as long as you don't cut through the wire strands and just take the insulation off. But I've got good wire cutters here, I might as well use them. Sorry, wire strippers. So I think there's a link, I'll put a link underneath from my Amazon storefront to buy some of these strippers. They're very good items. And the active. Okay, it's important to twitch the wires. Okay, we might just take a little bit more off these so we've got enough wire to work with. There we go. So twitch the wires, as I said, so that we've got no strands that can short out where they're not supposed to. Now the next thing we're going to need to do is to feed it through our clamp. Actually that will wrap around it, that's fine, we can put that on later, that's good. We need to then go through our bracket here, and then it's just a matter of wiring it up. So we'll zoom in a bit here, perhaps I'll change the camera position. Okay, hopefully that's a better angle and you can see what I'm doing. Now, one modification I forgot to do before. I cut these other wires back a bit further. I actually took a bit more off the sheath, and I cut the neutral and the active back further so that the earth lead is longer. And that's an important safety feature, and I should have done it first up, I wasn't thinking. What that does is that when it's all wired up, if for some reason the cord gets a pull and the clamp doesn't hold, or whatever relief strain there is doesn't hold, and it pulls wires out of the terminals, in this case it will pull the active out and probably the neutral out before it pulls the earth. So the earth will still be connected, which is important because if this active is loose, it's then going to short onto the frame. You really want the earth still connected, otherwise you've got a very dangerous situation. So good safety practice to have the earth wire longer. That way, even if there's trauma to the cord, the earth is still likely to be attached. All right, so now that we've made that adjustment and hopefully explained that you can understand it, we'll feed the wires through here. Just checking that there's nothing else we have to feed through the cord. The only other thing to go on is that clamp, which can go on afterwards. So we'll start with the active wire. Remember, it goes to the top terminal. We've twitched it nice and tight. We'll bend it round a little bit with our thumb, and we might have to back this screw off a little bit. Feed it under the screw clockwise, because that's the way you're going to do the screw up. And I've just got a little sharp point here just to make sure all the wires are tucked underneath the screw. If you put the wire curled around anti-clockwise and then you do the screw up, the screw is going to actually kind of unravel the wire as it clamps. So it needs to go the same way you do the screw up. Now you want to do this firm, but not so tight that it squashes the wires out and starts to guillotine them. So just firm. We can't see any strands at all. That's a nice, neat, safe connection. Exactly the same now with the neutral. I like to give them a bit of bend with my thumbnail, and we'll get it to poke under the screw. Again, we might need to back that screw out a little bit, and we'll just tuck all those wires around safely. Oh, that one's unraveled a little bit. Let's twitch it a bit better. So neatness isn't a matter of just pleasing to the eye, it's a matter of keeping the strands where they're supposed to be, and there's less likely to be any shorts. Okay, that's nicely tucked away. Do this screw up as well. Firm but not over tight. Okay, lovely. Two nice neat connections, no loose strands, active in the top connector, neutral in the middle. Now I've got to do the earth, and again twitch it up. Now this did have a terminal. We don't have a terminal now, but I did notice that the washer thing has got the little cup on it, which makes it easy to secure the wire. You could put a terminal on it. I would steer away from the crimp-on terminals. I don't think they're as secure as they should be. You could solder a terminal on if you wished, but with this little cup washer, it's going to be very secure. Get enough wide here to work with. Make sure it's wrapped right around the screw there, and I've got this little washer to put on top, and then we've got a nut to do up. And sorry, my fingers are in the road, but you should be able to see what I'm doing there. Okay, the earth wire is secure. You didn't see me use a shifter. I used the correct spanner, of course. It's done up nicely. It's firm and the wire hasn't spread or anything, so happy with that. You could use pliers. They're just a bit clumsy, really. Okay, now we just have to put our little clamp in here. So it clamps on the outside and then pushes into the housing. Now this cord is the same thickness as the other one, so it should squash in nice and firmly. These are fiddly things. I think we'll use some needle pliers here, some needle nose pliers. There we go. A bit of fiddling around, but I believe I got it. It's now clamped to the wire, which is its job. So that provides safety, strain relief to the terminals, and our backup is that if it pulls these out, we've still got the earth. Okay, that's all secure. The other wires that go down to the heating element all look good. The insulation's fine on those. I'd say that's job successfully completed. We can now rotate it to its right position and screw the cover down, and then we'll give it a test. There we go. The cord looks as new, which is fantastic. So job should be finished. Now what I would suggest, most of you won't have a portable appliance tester, which I'm going to check this with, but a lot of you will perhaps have an ohms meter. So I would suggest we just check that there's continuity between the earth pin and the case or the housing of the appliance, just to make sure that the earth's right, because that's the critical wire. If the other wires aren't right, it won't actually operate, but we need to check the earth. Okay, here's a little digital multimeter. I've set it to ohms. We'll go with the earth pin on the plug and the housing, and there we go, 0 resistance. Our earth wire is secure. Now we'll just have to put it back together and, well, it's pretty well back together. Turn it up the other way, plug it in and see if it warms up. I've just plugged the cord in. We can turn it to high, and after a while, these things don't heat up that quick. We should be able to feel some warmth starting around the sides. I think there's a band around the side rather than the base. The base is still cold. Ah, yes, it's getting warm. Yep, definitely. Fantastic. We have a repaired and ready to sell Monia crock pot from, I would say, early to mid 1970s. Just getting the actual insert, which is in great condition, and also has the lid. So that's fantastic. I can actually put my test and tag on this now to say that it's electrically safe. It has a safe cord. Appliance cords, I'll just unplug it now. We actually don't need to cook anything. Appliance cords, these computer cords are fine. They will handle any appliance as far as the amperage goes. Readily available. I sell them through my shop at $1 each because I just get excessive ones. And they're great for repairing appliances. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed that video. It's pretty basic repair work. It's very basic electrical procedures, but many of you probably wouldn't have had experience or won't be exactly sure, and there's a few little tips there that perhaps some of you didn't know. So I hope you've got a bit out of that. I hope it perhaps can help you fix your own appliance if you've got perhaps a workshop tool or something. If it's got a damaged cord, consider just replacing the cord rather than throwing the item out and buying a new one. There's too much of this sort of stuff going to landfill now, and they're really easy to fix, generally speaking. Of course, some of the more modern stuff has security screws, and they're a little bit more tricky to get into, but generally speaking, they're pretty easy to fix, and we can keep these things alive a lot longer. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this. I'll be getting back to more of my cleanup series soon. Obviously, that's a priority here at the moment, but at least now this is out of my storeroom. It can go in the shop. I can get some dollars back, and I'll go on to tackle the next thing. I have got some scrapping videos coming up soon as well, because I've got some stuff here I have to process. I might as well film it and scrap them out for you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.